What's up, DGens? Here we are on a Friday, going to cover the second half of the week 4 NFL games. Picks, props, expected points, algorithms, all sorts of fun shit as usual. Let's get right into it. Well, first of all, before we do that, I did give out a play. Well, all right, I'm not going to take credit for it because I didn't officially list it as a play, but the algorithm did have us taking the Seahawks minus the 2, and they covered. It was kind of a late sweat, but they covered. If you were following that, tailing that, awesome. It gave us the over 43.5, and of course it landed 43. I don't want to, pound my chest too much on one win here or one half win, I guess. But I will say that the algorithm has been spitting out some pretty hot fire lately. It's been within a touchdown, and that's pretty much the correlation that we're looking for with a lot of these plays is within 7 points, right? So not even like a touchdown 2-point conversion. Some people, it is technically a one-score game, right, at 8 points. I don't typically like to grade it as a one possession game or as within like a variation of 8 points as a one score, only because it is two separate actions that need to take. It's essentially a parlay, right? You have to get the touchdown first, and then you also have to get the 2-point conversion, which is, of course, much harder than just getting the extra points. And so the odds are greater, and they're pretty significantly greater to get the 2-point conversion than they are with just getting your extra point. So at 8 points, I am not counting that as like a one variation or one standard deviation from what I'm expecting, right? So easy layman terms on that is whatever my expected score is, my goal, my target is to get that score within one touchdown, and they both were last night. So we had the expected score as 27-23 yesterday, Seahawks Cardinals. The actual final score was 23-20. So again, one score within one score on both of those, which is expected because it's a divisional game. I should have probably accounted for that because we do have that first time division matchup. It usually goes a little bit under what the expectation is, but we didn't. So either way, at least we know that it is giving us some pretty viable numbers. Well, let's get into the picks for the second half here. Browns-Lions is the first one. And today, I apologize, I don't have the pretty little spreadsheet we had yesterday. The pretty PowerPoint. But we do have the spreadsheet. We are going to go through those points here with you. So the point system, we have it listed as 18 for the Browns and then 32 for the Lions. Now, obviously, it's kind of hard to get to 18 for the NFL. So you are going to kind of massage those numbers just a little bit. And that would give us roughly about 17-31 as the predicted score. And so that's going to be, 2 touchdowns. It's going to more than cover the spread, and it's going to give us a total of expected of 48 points. So in this case, we would be taking the Lions minus the 10 points if you're going to be on that game. Next part here is the 3 o'clock games. This is Jaguars 49ers. Let's take a look at that one first. Jaguars expected score 24. 49ers expected score is 31. So give me the 49ers there. As of right now, I believe it's -3, but we can go all the way up to 7. Next one is Colts Rams. Now this one I have heard a lot of people going back and forth with this only because the Colts have looked so good. It's kind of hard to go against them, right? Well, I do have something for kind of outliers, right? So last year, one of the biggest issues that I kept running across was that if you played a really easy defense or a really, really good defense, the expected points in the algorithm wasn't accounting for that enough, and so we had some issues there. So what we do at this time is we are using some variations with this score, and you're going to see me kind of update this in real time. So as you can tell, the column here for the Rams, or the row I should say, is 19. We're going to throw that in there. Colts typically would expect about 32 points, so let's just say 31, 34, somewhere in there. Against a Rams defense, we are expecting to see at least one touchdown of a regression there. So that would be more like 24 points for the Colts and 28 for the Rams. Now, why are we not doing it the other way around? Well, that's because the Colts defense is not an outlier. The Rams, via EPA, do have a top 5 defense, so we need to make sure that that is taken into account. So expected score would be 24-28 with the Rams winning and covering in that situation, as it is a 3-point spread right now. Bears Raiders is the next one. Raiders expected score is 24. Bears expected score also 24. Now, in this case, the Bears defense is absolutely atrocious. That green highlight there means that they do have the top 5 easiest defenses to play against. Now, the Cowboys didn't do a damn thing against that last week, but I do expect the Raiders to take advantage of that, especially with guys like Jacoby Myers, who are going to kind of go over the middle and really make the best of this situation. So give me the Raiders in this game to win the game. As far as the over-under, we're going to go over. But as far as the spread is concerned, that's a little bit more tricky because this could come down to like a last-second field goal, go for 2, something like that. So I really wouldn't touch the spread here. But again, if you needed to, you're absolutely going to have to play a side here. It would definitely be the Raiders. After that is Ravens-Chiefs. Now in this Chiefs game, expected score is 26 points. We can round that to 27. The Bills 29, again, rounds up to 30. So we're expecting 30-27. Now, personally, 31 for the Ravens, 27 for the Chiefs. Now, I will say I actually expect that score to be somewhat lower scoring just because the Chiefs defense is pretty solid. Now, they're not a top 5 defense, which is why we're not making any adjustments, but they are top 10. They have shut down some pretty good offenses, or at least made them look a little bit slower. So I wouldn't be surprised if this game was more like a 24-17 game with like a 1 touchdown less for each team, or 24-20. But going off the algorithm here, either way, the play would be the Ravens minus the 2.5. As far as the over-under, again, I'm not touching that one. I really would want to stay away from that completely. If you absolutely want to play the total here, I would probably parlay it with whoever you think is going to win this game. If you think that the Ravens are winning this and you're going to take the Ravens minus 2.5, I'm going to parlay that with the over, because the Ravens are going to do the majority of the scoring here, and the Chiefs just somewhat have to keep pace in that scenario. But we're expecting a high-scoring game, which would lean towards the Ravens winning. And conversely, if you think the Chiefs are going to cover here, you would want to take the Chiefs and the under, because that means that the Chiefs defense is coming through and doing a lot of the work, limiting that Ravens offense and getting the win with a lower scoring game. So again, if you want to do the total, if you're absolutely just dying to do it, I would definitely parlay that with the side that you think is going to win. And again, in my scenario, it's the Ravens minus the 2.5. The next play, and this is the betting alert for the week here, is the Packers-Cowboys. I am all over the Packers, and I don't give a shit how square that sounds. It's Sally Square over here. It's just the fact of the matter is there's not a lot of paths to victory for the Cowboys this week. The expected score, 21, and if you'll notice that work is already done for us. I already adjusted for the Packers above average defense, right? Top 5 defense, that is. 21 for the Cowboys, 30 for the Packers. So obviously a 9-point spread here is what I would make it, or this algorithm would make it. And even without that, even just the expected points without the adjustment, it does come out to 24-30, which is why we're seeing 6 in the markets. Give me the Packers, though, just with the adjustment for the great defense. And this is not really taken into account, I believe, as much as we should, the injury to CeeDee Lamb. That offense last week looked just atrocious. It looked like dog water without CeeDee Lamb. He is the engine to that offense. They cannot do anything without him. Javonte Williams was kind of the backup plan to that, and we all saw exactly what happened when they got down big. You can't really keep running, and this Packers defense is just shutting down run games everywhere, and that Cowboys offensive line is not good enough to overcome that. So I believe Javonte Williams is not going to have a good game. And honestly, I like the under on his prop for rush attempts, under 13.5. I also like the under on his rush yards at 49.5. Just unders everywhere for him. And the thing is, even if he were to have a good game and be getting some good yards, the expectation here is because the Cowboys defense is so depleted and because CeeDee Lamb is not there, you're most likely going to see, and the secondary is just terrible for the Cowboys. They do not have anybody to match up with the receiving core of the Packers and Jordan Love for that matter. But the game plan here, or the game script that is, most likely, is that the Packers jump out ahead. They get up 14 points, 20 points, whatever it is, and they get the Cowboys out of that run game. And even if that's not the case, even if by somehow, some way, the Cowboys manage to stop the Packers and it's a closer game, the Packers defense limiting anything done on the ground. I mean, even if you look at their record here and you go back a few games when they played the Lions, Gibbs and Montgomery could not get this going on the ground. Montgomery had 11 carries. Gibbs had 9 because they just gave up on the run game and they were down. And in each of the games, even against like the Washington Commanders, the most they had in that game rush yards were 17. Is just this Packers defense shuts down run games, and I don't think that's going to be any different, especially for this Cowboys team. And it's going to probably try and be really one-dimensional. If anything, if you want to take an over on the Cowboys, I would lean Jake Ferguson. He's going to most likely be their most reliable weapon in this game. And I think everybody knows that. If you look out at the markets, his receptions is like 5.5, in some places even 6.5. His yardage is already like 53, 54 yards, which is kind of high for him. His anytime touchdown is not super great odds. I mean, it's expected that he's going to get the majority of this work without a CeeDee Lamb and without a reliable ground game. Just overall, I would not mind taking a few shots in this game as far as props are concerned. So the overall play is going to be Packers minus the 6.5. If you want to tease it down, great. I don't think you necessarily need to. With the score of 21-30, and honestly, I would expect that if that does come through, it's probably going to be some garbage time scoring for the Cowboys. I could see them being down 10-30 or 30-10, or, in the third quarter, and the Packers just kind of taking their foot off the gas. Also, this is a good spot. The Packers having that loss from last week really helps us here. If they had won last week and they're coming in fat and happy at 3-0, it could be more of a trap spot. I don't think that's the situation here. Micah Parsons also comes in to this game with a chip on his shoulder for sure. So the Packers, just every which way, there's not a way, and I try to think of both sides and how they could possibly win the game. The Cowboys just don't have the receivers out there to contend with the Packers offense. They don't have the run game. They don't have the offensive line. They don't have the defense to stop. They don't have the defense to play a 10-10 type of game the way that the Browns did last week with the Packers. The only way the Cowboys win this game or even keep this thing competitive late into the game is with some bullshit things happening, right? Like if there's return touchdowns, if there's pick sixes, like there's got to be some really weird stuff going on. And the Cowboys have not been great at those things. They have not been great on special teams. They have not been great at kick returns. A lot of this stuff is just really, I don't understand the line, because I don't think, even if you were to put it Packers minus 9.5, I don't know how much money you're taking on that Cowboys. So, again, I can't stress this enough. Favorite play of the week, Packers minus the 6.5. Do the props. If you're going off the story that I'm telling you, you can put a lot of these things together. But if you wanted to do like a 5-leg parlay, it's like props, something like a Prize Picks or Bet R or whatever, obviously look at Bookmaker first. The comments below are going to have the description to Bookmaker, the link to get you a 100% match. Look there first, because they are always putting up props. They do have same game parlays, and that's going to honestly usually be your best odds. But if you are someone who can't have access to that, or if you're using another app, look at this game in particular, because this is probably the most likely game to have the storyline that we're expecting, and everything kind of matches up, and it would go really well together with like a 4 or 5 leg parlay. Quick example of what I'm doing, Jordan Love over his passing yards, because the Cowboys defense can't stop, and they're going to have to throw in the beginning of the game to get this big lead we're talking about. Matt Golden either over his receiving yards, because he's going to be their number one threat downfield, and that is where the Cowboys struggle most, or you could take a longest reception over 20.5 yards for Matt Golden. Either one I totally like. Josh Jacobs over his rushing yardage of 70.5 or 67.5 in some places, just because if they are up big at the end of this game, they're going to use him to grind out the clock and get this win and get the hell out of there. And even if he doesn't have a great showing per carry, the expectation here again is that if they're up by the third quarter, they're going to run to kill this game. And even if it takes 20 carries, 24 carries, he's going to go over that yardage total. On the flip side, the Cowboys, again, Jake Ferguson over his receiving yards total. I don't like playing his receptions here. It's just so high at 6.5 in some places. He could get 4 catches and go over his 50-yard total. The Packers do struggle at carrying or at defending tight ends. I still don't want to say, man, this guy has to go get 7 catches just to get an even money play here. If he gets 7 catches, great. He's definitely going over 50. But if he goes even 5 catches, even at 4 catches, there's a chance he goes over 50 yards, especially as their number 1 or number 2 receiving option. To give me Jake Ferguson over his receiving total. Javonte Williams, again, under his yardage total or carries, whichever one you prefer. Personally, I like the yardage under. Kind of in the same realm of that is, if he's under 13 carries, the odds are he's going to stay under his 50 yards. If he happens to go over 15 carries, I doubt that, but that would mean a totally different game script. And so that's, again, kind of hand in hand here, but I would prefer the yardage over the carries just in case the Cowboys decide, you know what, we're not giving up on the run. We want to stay, balanced. Maybe the game is a little bit closer for a little bit longer than we're expecting. Maybe he gets 14 carries off of that. But either way, even if he has 15 carries, I doubt he gets to the 50 yards, only because of a much better talent as well as much better offensive lines have played this Packers defense, and they just can't get there. So that's a 5-legger right there for you. If you want to take Dak to go over his passing yards, I don't hate that, but I would leave it at the 5 and just roll with that. In most places, that's going to be a 10x parlay there for those 5 props. Last couple things here, guys. We'll cover these up really quick. Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, Broncos. Jets, Dolphins. I don't have anything on this one, but I do like the over in this game with both defenses coming in here pretty weak. Jets expected score is 30 because they are playing a bottom 5 defense in the Dolphins. And conversely, the Dolphins expected score is 27 for the same reason. So get the over this one with an expected 57 score here. I would take the Jets as well in that game. And then the Bengals, Broncos. Bengals expected score is 20. Broncos expected score comes out to about 24. Again, this is one of those situations where I kind of deviate myself from this a little bit, only because I could see the Broncos defense finally stepping up here against a backup quarterback. So give me the Bengals really a 17, Broncos 27. Again, I don't know if I really touched the total in that one, but the Broncos to get the win is definitely the look in that game. So that's it as far as all the games they have been covered. If you didn't see the game you wanted to in this video, go back and check out yesterday's video. Thank you again for tuning in. I appreciate the support. You guys have a great day and a great